Hi and welcome to MOTW Week. This week we are doing something I like to call bike bling, which is really random pieces of stuff that really don't do anything other than look nice, or they don't have any function other than aesthetical value. Even though a lot of things have a very nice look to them or have an aesthetic value to them, such as my front brake rotor or my Scott steering stabilizer, for example, even though they look nice, they actually provide a function, so I don't really consider these to be bike bling or these kind of sparkly items. This is more stuff that you would only ever add just because you want your bike to look nice. It's not the primary reason you are buying it is not to add some function, it's just for aesthetical value. There are a lot of mods in here and contained in this video, and there are even more beyond what I've recorded and beyond what I have on my bike. I have most of the ones available to this bike specifically that are specifically designed for this bike, is what I mean. Though there are ones that are very general, such as like bolts, colored bolts. I do have a lot of these, so stay tuned and we'll try to see how many we can get through. So right now on my bike, you can see I have Zeta engine cover, a couple engine plugs here, Zeta plugs, my driven shift lever, that's my DRC hoses, there's another one there, Zeta brake cover, I think I have one, yeah, I have one for my rear brake too as well, just right there. That is not made by Zeta, that's made by somebody else, but it's an oil cover. Of course, some DRC bolts, colored bolts, a Zeta rear brake, whatever. See, Zeta oil cover. And on my wheels, I have just parts here, just some red parts, some gold parts, just to add a bit of an accent. None of these parts really do anything. All they do is they just sit there and they look nice. There are a lot of parts that you consider, such as my front brake there, Scott steering stabilizer. All these things do add some aesthetical value, but they aren't the primary reason why you buy them. Those engine plugs, they don't actually add anything to the bike other than making it look nice. Same with that sprocket cover, or that starter motor cover. Not really any difference. Engine mounts, they're a little bit wider, but the main thing is they just look nice. Bike bling is one of those funny things that you can spend tons and tons of money on, but never actually get anything new for your bike. It's just a very funny thing to me. Or having an aesthetically nice bike is something that is valuable to a lot of people, and you get complimented on your bike a lot. It makes it look more unique, it makes it look more your own. So, despite the fact that a lot of these things can be expensive, they do add something for some people. I can say, riding around with a bike that does have a very nice feel to it, very nice look to it, does give you something. This bike, having first owned it, it was a lot older of a bike, a lot older style, kind of looked really junky, so that was a very different experience commuting with it. Now it's, it's something you show off, even though it's very dirty at the moment. One of these is the driven shift lever. Now it is made out of aluminum, and it is about a quarter of the weight of the OEM one. On my side case right here, just on the generator cover, that gouge is from knocking my bike over and having the OEM shifter lever, so this is the shifter lever right here, pressing against this and gouging out a whole bunch of metal there. So the one advantage of having an aluminum shifter lever is that it's softer than the side cases. This is cheaper to replace than it is to replace this. So I mean, if this were to run into this again, which I'm sure it will, instead of it scratching here, it will rub off this shifter tip. So that's the advantage of having an aluminum shifter. The unfortunate thing about aluminum is it is a bit easier to break, but it does have a smoother feel to it. This just kind of feels like pressed metal. All right, so here you can see These are the new engine mounts compared to the old ones. Pretty expensive mod. I'm not sure much gain. I mean, they're a bit neater looking. They are a bit more spaced out, and I hope that doesn't cause any problems for any of my other mods. But we'll see how that goes. Chain sliders are one of those things that you kind of don't think about, but you need to replace every once in a while. There's this rub block. It sits on the swing arm. There's also one that sits on a bit of the frame on most bikes. And after 1,000 miles, they tend to wear out. And for the most part, what you don't really notice is that they actually most often, from my experience, wear out on the bottom rather than on the top. So every so often check them. Pretty cheap device. This company MOTW makes some nice ones. They make blue, red, green, and black. All right. Radiator hoses. No, the only special thing about these is they're colored. I don't think there's any special quality to them. And I'm just trying to add some bling to my bike. There's that. There's some engine plugs, which are some nifty bling. But of course I plan on painting this whole cover here. And the Zeta cover, and then here's the starter motor cover for that, which is, again, nothing special. Like, supposedly they advertise that it weighs a little bit lighter than the OEM, but there's no other reason to have it other than it says Zeta and has a cool color to it. You can see I swapped out the roller there for a red one and the oil cap for a red one. So Zeta also makes this oil cover. It's actually kind of strange because the starter motor cover was very similar, at least very similar to the original one. This one is actually very different. It's all deeply grooved and has these weird lines on the side, like indents. And I mean, I guess it would make it easier to pull off. So maybe there is some advantage to this because it is kind of hard to pull off that OEM one. But it still looks very strange. Looks like a little bit out of place to me. But it's probably better for the bike. One thing to keep in mind though is that most colored bolts use aluminum instead of steel. I believe it is only gold and silver where they actually use steel as an anodized type of thing. Those colors and their sort of variants. But red, blue, green, whatever other colors you want to get, they use aluminum. And the thing to keep in mind about aluminum is that it can't be torqued as much as steel. Alright, thanks for watching. This has been Mod of the Week.